In the most iconic stories across myth, fantasy, and modern storytelling, the Chosen One archetype has become one of the most recognizable figures. At first glance, they are often introduced as ordinary individuals. They live simple lives defined by routine, uncertainty, or quiet aspirations. Nothing in their daily existence suggests that they are destined for anything extraordinary. They may feel disconnected from the world around them, or sense a subtle restlessness they cannot explain. But outwardly, they appear no different from anyone else. Everything changes, however, when the call of destiny arrives. It enters their life like a fault line, cracking open the earth beneath their feet, disrupting everything they thought they understood about themselves and their place in the world. This call can take countless forms. Sometimes it appears as a prophecy, hidden in an ancient text, speaking of a future shaped by their actions. Sometimes it manifests as a supernatural sign that defies explanation and forces them to question the nature of reality itself. In other stories, destiny announces itself through a mysterious event that cannot be ignored: an attack, a vision, a moment of awakening, or a shift in the balance of the world. There are also moments when the call arrives in the form of a guide, a mentor figure who steps out of the shadows at exactly the right time, recognizing something in the protagonist long before the protagonist recognizes it in themselves. No matter the form it takes, the call of destiny always carries the same message: life will never be the same again. This moment is the explosive turning point that ignites the entire hero's journey. The world the Chosen One once knew begins to fracture, revealing hidden layers of truth, conflict, and meaning. The call exposes the extraordinary beneath the ordinary, stripping away the illusion that the protagonist's life was ever truly simple or disconnected from destiny. Every Chosen One must eventually face this confrontation between who they were and who they are meant to become. It is this moment, this collision between the mundane and the mythic, that sets the entire narrative into motion. What makes this moment so profound is not just the external disruption it causes, but the internal shockwave it sends through the character's identity. The call of destiny forces them to confront questions they have never asked, choices they never expected to make, and fears they hoped would remain buried. It demands that they step into a role far larger than anything they imagined for themselves. Some protagonists feel awe when destiny reveals itself. Others feel terror, denial, or disbelief. But regardless of their initial reaction, the call leaves an imprint that cannot be erased. It marks the moment when they become aware of a truth too large to ignore. This raises the central questions that shape today's exploration. What makes the call of destiny so profoundly transformative? Why does this moment, more than any other, become a point of no return for the Chosen One? Why is it that, once they hear the call, even if they resist, even if they run, even if they attempt to cling to their old life, they can never fully go back to the person they once were? These questions lie at the core of the Chosen One narrative, revealing why this archetype continues to captivate audiences across generations. In this video, we will break down the psychological, symbolic, and narrative forces that make the call of destiny such a powerful catalyst. We will explore how this moment reshapes identity, reshifts reality, and redefines everything the protagonist once believed about themselves and their world. Through this lens, the Chosen One's journey becomes more than a storyline. It becomes a profound examination of transformation, purpose, and the inevitability of change. Before we continue, make sure to support the channel. If you're enjoying this breakdown, please like and share the video, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any upcoming content. The call of destiny is never a gentle whisper. It does not tap politely at the edges of the Chosen One's life, nor does it ask for permission to enter. Instead, it erupts into their world with the force of something ancient and undeniable, tearing apart the illusion of normalcy they once relied upon. To understand the Chosen One's journey, we must first understand this call, because it is the very first catalyst that pushes them out of the familiar and into the vast, uncharted terrain of fate. The call of destiny is the moment destiny stops being abstract and becomes immediate. It is the point where fate's gravitational pull takes hold, often violently, dragging the protagonist toward the path they were always meant to walk, even if they never suspected such a path existed. In many stories, the nature of this call reveals itself through prophecy. Ancient words, scribed long before the protagonist was born, resurface with eerie precision, describing signs, symbols, or events that align with their life. The prophecy may have been forgotten, dismissed, or actively hidden, but when it re-emerges, it carries the weight of inevitability. The chosen one's very existence becomes intertwined with the echo of these ancient lines. The prophecy does more than announce a mission. It exposes the unsettling truth that the protagonist's life has never been as ordinary as it appeared. Their past, their origins, or even their bloodline becomes charged with meaning they never asked for. This revelation fundamentally disrupts their sense of identity. They are no longer just someone living quietly in the background of their world. They are a figure long foreseen by forces beyond comprehension. In other stories, the call of destiny manifests as a supernatural sign, something so extraordinary that it ruptures the boundary between the mundane and the mystical. It might be an unexplained surge of power, an impossible vision, or a disturbance in reality that only the chosen one can sense. These signs often arrive abruptly, shocking the protagonist into awareness. They cannot ignore such an omen because it defies the logic of their everyday world. A supernatural call is meant to shake them awake, forcing them to question everything they have assumed about how the world works. It disrupts their sense of safety and stability. When something impossible happens directly to them or around them, the chosen one cannot continue pretending that life is predictable. The call makes sure of that. Sometimes, destiny announces itself through catastrophe. A sudden threat emerges, an invading force, a spreading corruption, a monstrous entity, or a calamity that sweeps across the land. At first glance, this catastrophe may appear unrelated to the protagonist, but the more the world unravels, the more the signs point back to them. The universe seems to respond to their existence in ways they cannot explain. The threat might be triggered by their awakening power, by their lineage, or by hidden forces that have been waiting for their emergence. In these narratives, the call of destiny is not a message, but a crisis, one that forces the chosen one to step forward because no one else can confront the escalating danger. The world becomes a mirror, reflecting their responsibility. The disaster becomes the call. There are also stories in which destiny arrives through truth that has been hidden, buried, or forgotten. This truth may come in the form of a family secret, a concealed heritage, or a revelation about the protagonist's origins. It may emerge when a long-lost mentor returns, when an old relic reacts to their presence, or when a hidden memory resurfaces. This type of call is quieter in appearance, but equally devastating. It dismantles the chosen one's understanding of themselves at the deepest level. It reveals that the life they have lived, the identity they have embraced, has always rested on incomplete knowledge. Destiny enters not as an external force, but as a revelation that their entire existence has been intertwined with something far larger than they realized. Regardless of its form, the call of destiny always disrupts. It interrupts. It dismantles the ordinary world the protagonist once believed in. Before the call, the chosen one may have clung to routines, ambitions, or dreams that fit within the boundaries of a simple life. They may have envisioned a predictable future built on familiar foundations. The call tears through those expectations mercilessly. The chosen one begins to see cracks in the reality they once accepted. Friends, family, or mentors look different in the new light of destiny. Places that felt safe now feel charged with significance or threat. The world around them does not change physically, but everything about how they perceive it transforms. The call reshapes their awareness. This moment also reveals a deeper truth. Their life was never ordinary to begin with. The ordinary world was only a surface, a facade that kept them dormant until the right moment. Destiny does not appear spontaneously. It reveals itself when the chosen one has reached the threshold where ignorance is no longer possible. The call exposes that every strange instinct, every unexplained event, every moment of dissonance in their past was not coincidence, but foreshadowing. Their life was always marked, always connected to forces they had no knowledge of. The call does not create destiny, it uncovers it. This is why the call becomes the first push that propels the chosen one into the gravitational pull of fate. Before the call, they stand outside the orbit of destiny, unaware of the cosmic forces gathering around them. But once the call reaches them, they are drawn into a new trajectory. Their steps become influenced by something larger, something that tugs at them with increasing intensity. They might resist, attempt to ignore it, or desperately try to cling to their old life. But resistance becomes futile. Destiny pulls them forward with the weight of inevitability. This gravitational pull is not simply external, it begins to manifest internally as well. The chosen one feels the shift. Even if they reject the call on the surface, something deep within them stirs, responding to a truth their conscious mind has not yet embraced. Their instincts shift, their emotions intensify, their perception sharpens. Destiny begins rewriting their internal compass. This internal awakening is crucial because it ensures that the call cannot be undone. The protagonist cannot return to a life of ignorance because the pull of destiny has already taken root in their psyche. They begin to feel connected to things they cannot explain. They sense the weight of meaning behind their experiences, and even if they fear what lies ahead, a part of them knows they must move forward. This transformation of perception marks the true beginning of the chosen one's journey. The call is not merely a narrative device, it is a psychological awakening. It tears open the protagonist's innocence and forces them to confront a larger, frightening, exhilarating reality. It is the universe's way of saying, "You were never meant to stay small." The chosen one cannot ignore such a declaration because it resonates too deeply with the unspoken feelings they have carried. The sense of restlessness, the quiet longing for purpose, the intuition that life holds something more. The call of destiny is the moment that confirms these instincts. It validates their internal search for meaning, and because of this, the chosen one becomes unable to fully return to the hollow comfort of their old life. Even if they attempt to, the world will no longer fit around them the way it once did. Destiny has cracked open the shell of their ordinary existence, and no amount of denial can rebuild it. In mythic terms, this moment is the descent into the realm beyond the known. In psychological terms, it is the disruption that initiates growth. In narrative terms, it is the spark that ignites the journey. The call of destiny is powerful because it is both destructive and illuminating. It destroys the chosen one's old identity and illuminates the path toward a new one. It exposes secrets, awakens potential, and reveals the fragility of the ordinary world. From this moment forward, the chosen one is no longer wandering through life. They are being drawn into a story that demands everything from them. The call marks the beginning of their transformation, not by granting power, but by granting knowledge. It does not immediately make them strong, but it forces them to seek strength. It does not instantly give them answers, but it forces them to ask better questions. The call is the first test, the first rupture, and the first promise. It is the moment destiny stops being a shadow and becomes a force that cannot be ignored. And once the call of destiny has broken into the chosen one's world, nothing and no one can return to how things were before. Reluctance is one of the most defining traits of the chosen one's early journey, and it appears so consistently across storytelling traditions that it becomes impossible to ignore. The moment the call of destiny breaks into the protagonist's world, the first reaction is rarely acceptance. Instead, it is hesitation, fearful, emotional, deeply human hesitation. The chosen one does not immediately step forward with confidence or clarity. They pause, they question, they resist. This resistance is not just a narrative requirement, it is a psychological inevitability. When someone who once believed they were ordinary is suddenly confronted with a destiny far larger than anything they imagined, it is natural that fear becomes their first response. Their old life, no matter how limited or imperfect, represents familiarity and safety. Destiny represents the unknown. The hesitation often begins with fear, raw, instinctive fear. The chosen one fears the magnitude of what the call demands. They fear the danger, the responsibility, and the possibility of failure. It is not easy for anyone to accept that their life will never again belong solely to them. The idea that countless lives, outcomes, or futures depend on their choices presses against their mind like a tidal wave. This fear is not cowardice, it is awareness. The chosen one understands, even if subconsciously, that stepping into destiny means stepping into a world where mistakes have catastrophic consequences. Fear emerges not because they are weak, but because they understand the stakes more deeply than they are prepared to admit. Alongside fear comes self-doubt. The chosen one questions their worthiness, competence, and identity. They ask themselves why destiny would choose someone like them. They look at their own flaws, failures, and insecurities, and assume these disqualify them from playing any significant role in shaping the future. Self-doubt becomes a mirror reflecting everything they believe they lack. They compare themselves to what destiny demands and see only inadequacy. This self-doubt is often one of the strongest emotional barriers, preventing them from accepting their role. It is the internal voice saying, "I am not enough," even when the world insists otherwise. Denial is another powerful reaction. Many chosen ones refuse to believe what is happening to them. They attempt to explain away supernatural signs, ignore prophecies, or reject the words of mentors who claim to know their fate. Denial functions as a psychological shield, allowing them to delay confronting a truth that is too overwhelming to absorb. They insist that destiny has made a mistake, or that someone else is better suited for the role. This denial is not defiance for its own sake. It is the mind's attempt to preserve the identity they have always known. The chosen one clings to their old self because that self feels comprehensible. Destiny demands that they become someone new, and denial stretches out the time before they must face that transformation. Even stronger than fear or denial is the desperate urge to cling to their old life. The chosen one is often portrayed in stories living a life defined by routine, familiarity, or modest aspiration. That life may not be extraordinary, but it is theirs. Destiny threatens to tear it away. They fear losing the people they love, the comfort of predictability, and the version of themselves that feels safe. The urge to hold on to the ordinary becomes an emotional anchor that keeps them from stepping immediately into their role. This hesitation is deeply relatable because every human being understands the comfort of the familiar and the terror of irreversible change. The chosen one faces the ultimate version of this struggle. The reluctance they feel also serves an essential narrative purpose. It reminds the audience that destiny is not a gift. In stories, destiny is grand, dramatic, and awe-inspiring. But for the chosen one, it is also a burden. It is heavy. It is demanding. It removes their ability to choose the life they once imagined. Destiny can feel like a trap disguised as a calling. It requires sacrifice, vulnerability, and courage that they have not yet developed. The hesitation emphasizes this burden. It reveals the truth that becoming the chosen one is not glamorous, it is painful. It forces the character to confront the possibility that their life belongs more to fate than to themselves. This reluctance is also what makes the chosen one human. Without hesitation, the protagonist would appear unnaturally fearless or unnaturally willing to surrender their old identity. The audience would feel disconnected from a character who instantly embraces destiny without grappling with fear or doubt. By hesitating, the chosen one invites empathy. Viewers see themselves in that moment of resistance. They understand what it feels like to be overwhelmed, uncertain, or unwilling. The hesitation makes the transformation that eventually follows feel earned. It adds depth, complexity, and emotional realism to their journey. In many stories, external pressures reinforce the protagonist's reluctance. Loved ones may encourage them to stay safe, mentors may warn them of dangers, or antagonists may appear too powerful to confront. These external pressures amplify the protagonist's internal conflict. They reinforce the illusion that staying in the ordinary world is still an option. Even when destiny calls, the world around the chosen one may attempt to pull them backward, urging them to remain the person they were. This tension between external expectations and internal obligation intensifies the psychological weight of the decision to move forward. The chosen one's resistance also highlights another essential truth. Destiny is not always benevolent. The audience often views destiny as a guiding force, but the character often sees it as a force of disruption. Destiny does not ask what they want. It does not offer guarantees. It demands sacrifice, effort, and emotional endurance. To accept the call means to step into a world where the path ahead is filled with pain, loss, or struggle. Some stories portray destiny as a calling that brings hope, but many portray it as a curse, a role that isolates the protagonist from the normal life they once cherished. This sense of loss is a major reason for reluctance. The chosen one understands that once they cross the threshold, they lose the privilege of being ordinary. The psychological conflict that emerges during this phase is complex. On one side, there is destiny, a force that insists that they are meant for something greater. On the other, there is the self, uncertain, afraid, and unprepared. The chosen one stands between these forces, pulled in both directions. Their reluctance demonstrates that the journey requires not only bravery, but also acceptance. They must come to terms with the fact that their sense of self is undergoing a metamorphosis. The reluctance becomes a critical stage in the character's development, laying the groundwork for the eventual acceptance that carries far more emotional depth than immediate compliance ever could. Another dimension of resistance is rooted in responsibility. The chosen one understands that accepting destiny means accepting accountability for outcomes they cannot predict or control. This awareness can be terrifying. They fear failing the world, their loved ones, or themselves. The fear of disappointing those who believe in them becomes a weight that pushes them toward retreat. They may feel that someone else, a stronger, wiser, or more confident individual, should bear this responsibility. But destiny is rarely logical or fair. It chooses them, and their reluctance reveals how unprepared they feel for that responsibility. In some narratives, the reluctance is tied to trauma or past wounds. The chosen one may carry emotional scars that undermine their confidence. They may have experienced loss that makes them fear forming new attachments. They may have been hurt in ways that cause them to mistrust themselves or others. Destiny demands that they confront these wounds, but they may not feel ready. Their resistance reveals that the greatest battles often occur within the mind, not on physical battlefields. The reluctance becomes a reflection of their vulnerability, adding richness to their transformation when they eventually rise above it. The most compelling aspect of this hesitation is how it magnifies the weight of destiny. If the chosen one accepted their role without struggle, destiny would feel light. It would feel convenient, even simplistic. But when they hesitate, when they wrestle with the emotional and psychological implications, the audience recognizes the enormity of what they are being asked to become. The hesitation elevates the gravity of the narrative. It shows that destiny demands sacrifice, transformation, and courage of a magnitude that cannot be embraced lightly. Reluctance, therefore, is not a moment of weakness. It is a rite of passage. It is the emotional crucible in which the chosen one begins to confront who they are and what they must become. Without this phase, the acceptance that eventually follows would lack resonance. It would feel hollow. Hesitation ensures that when the chosen one finally answers the call of destiny, they do so not because they were forced, but because they choose to rise, despite fear, despite doubt, and despite the weight of what lies ahead. Their reluctance reveals that destiny is not the beginning of greatness, it is the beginning of struggle, and it is within that struggle that the true hero begins to form. Acceptance is the turning point where the chosen one's story truly begins to ascend. Until this moment, they have lived suspended between two realities, the world they have known and the world destiny demands. The call has reached them, the signs have appeared, the disruption has taken hold, and the internal struggle has played out across fear, denial, and resistance. But the journey cannot move forward until a critical shift occurs. The chosen one must decide, not accidentally, not passively, but consciously, to step onto the path that destiny has carved for them. This moment of acceptance is the ignition point of transformation, the instant where an ordinary individual begins to evolve into a legendary figure. Acceptance rarely arrives suddenly. It builds gradually, like a tide rising under the surface. The chosen one experiences moments of clarity, glimpses of their own potential, or confrontations with the consequences of inaction. These experiences begin to chip away at their reluctance, revealing the deeper truth beneath their fear. They cannot remain who they were. The world around them has already changed. Their own perception has already widened. Even if they tried to ignore destiny, the pull has become too strong to resist. Destiny does not fade, and it does not wait. The chosen one eventually realizes that they are already standing at the threshold. All that remains is the decision to step forward. The moment of acceptance often begins with a recognition of responsibility. The chosen one sees suffering, injustice, danger, or imbalance that cannot be corrected unless they intervene. They come to understand that their role is not optional, it is necessary. They may look into the eyes of someone they love and realize that their old life cannot protect those they care about. They may witness a devastating event and feel the moment imprint itself onto their conscience. They may realize that avoiding destiny causes more harm than facing it. In these moments, the call becomes personal in a way that cannot be denied. The chosen one recognizes that stepping into destiny is an act of protection, of meaning, of alignment with something greater than themselves. Another aspect of acceptance emerges from self-recognition. The chosen one begins to see a new version of themselves taking shape. They notice the strength they have shown under pressure, the intuition that guided them, or the courage that surfaced despite fear. These glimpses of their evolving identity help them understand that destiny is not asking them to become someone else. It is revealing who they already are. Acceptance arises when they acknowledge this truth. It is not about becoming worthy, but about realizing they were always capable, just unaware. As acceptance deepens, their worldview begins to expand. They start to see the broader patterns at play, the hidden forces shaping their world, and the interconnectedness of events that once seemed random. Destiny offers them a vantage point that elevates their perception beyond the limits of an ordinary life. They begin to understand that the universe is larger and more complex than they ever imagined. They also understand, with growing clarity, that they occupy a meaningful place within that complexity. This widening perspective becomes a catalyst for transformation. The chosen one feels themselves shifting from someone who merely observes life to someone who participates in shaping it. The emotional landscape also changes. Fear remains, but it no longer defines them. Doubt lingers, but it no longer controls their decisions. Instead, conviction begins to emerge, a quiet, steady voice guiding them forward. This conviction does not come from certainty, but from acceptance of uncertainty. The chosen one realizes they do not need perfect knowledge to take the first step. They need only to believe that the path before them is the one they are meant to walk. This internal shift marks the transition from resistance to trust, from passivity to agency. Acceptance blooms in the moment they understand that courage is not the absence of fear, but the willingness to act despite it. Transformation begins the instant they choose action over hesitation. This first step may be small, agreeing to leave home, accepting a mentor's guidance, or taking responsibility for a difficult task. But symbolically, it is monumental. In that step, the chosen one sheds the final remnants of their old identity. They stop clinging to the comfort of normalcy and embrace the uncertainty of destiny. This internal pivot is the point at which the hero's journey truly begins. From here, every challenge they face, every skill they learn, and every truth they uncover contributes to a larger evolution that was impossible before they accepted their role. As they progress along the path of destiny, the chosen one begins to grow beyond the limits that once defined them. Their fears, once immobilizing, become sources of strength. Their doubts transform into motivation. Their wounds become wisdom. They discover abilities, insights, and resilience that had lain dormant within them. Acceptance unlocks this growth, unleashing potential that could never have been reached in their previous life. The chosen one begins to understand that destiny is not merely about fulfilling a prophecy, it is about fulfilling themselves. This transformation also reshapes their relationship with the world. They see allies where they once saw strangers, threats where they once saw safety, and opportunities where they once saw obstacles. They become more attuned to the emotions and struggles of those around them. Their awareness sharpens and their empathy deepens. They begin to lead not through authority, but through example, courage, and authenticity. The people they encounter sense this change, responding to it with trust, admiration, or fear, depending on their alignment with destiny. The chosen one steps into a role that influences not only the narrative, but also the hearts and minds of those they meet. One of the most defining aspects of this transformation is that it cannot be undone. Acceptance marks a psychological threshold that cannot be crossed backward. The chosen one cannot unsee the truth they have discovered, nor unknow the potential within them. They cannot return to the constraints of who they once were, because that identity no longer fits. Trying to return would be like trying to step back into a shell that destiny has already cracked open. Once they have taken the step onto the path of destiny, the old world recedes behind them like a dream fading in daylight. Even if they momentarily falter later in the story, and many do, they never regress to their former self. They may stumble, suffer, or question their journey, but the transformation initiated by acceptance remains irreversible. Their awareness has expanded too far. Their purpose has taken root. The momentum of destiny continues to carry them forward, even when their own strength wavers. This permanent shift underscores why acceptance is such a pivotal moment in the Chosen One's arc. It is the point at which the story transitions from potential to motion. Acceptance also brings clarity, though not in the form of complete understanding. Rather, it brings clarity of direction. The Chosen One recognizes that their path will be shaped by trials, sacrifices, and uncertainty, but they accept these challenges as integral to their transformation. They no longer view destiny as an intruder, but as a guide. They understand that the journey will change them in ways they cannot predict, but they embrace that change as part of their evolution. This mindset becomes the foundation of their future heroism. The significance of this moment extends beyond narrative mechanics. On a symbolic level, the Chosen One's acceptance represents a universal human truth. Growth requires stepping into the unknown. Every person experiences moments when they must move beyond the familiar, confront fear, and embrace change. The Chosen One embodies this struggle in its most dramatic form. Their transformation mirrors the internal journeys that all people undergo when faced with choices that redefine their lives. Through the Chosen One, audiences see their own potential for courage and reinvention reflected. This moment also emphasizes the power of intentional choice. Destiny may call, but acceptance is always the Chosen One's decision. This choice transforms destiny from a directive into a partnership. The hero does not simply submit to fate, they collaborate with it. They align their will with the path laid before them. In doing so, they claim ownership of their role, redefining the narrative from something happening to them into something they are actively shaping. Ultimately, the Chosen One's acceptance marks the birth of the hero. It is not the acquisition of power or the defeat of a great enemy that makes them heroic. It is the decision to walk forward into uncertainty, to embrace responsibility, and to evolve beyond who they once were. This is the moment when an ordinary individual begins the ascent toward legend. When they embrace the call of destiny, everything that follows becomes part of a larger story, one driven by courage, growth, sacrifice, and purpose. From that moment forward, there is no going back, only forward, only transformation, only destiny. The call of destiny stands as the foundational milestone that ignites the Chosen One's entire journey. It is the spark that ruptures the boundaries of the life they once knew and forces them to confront a world far larger than the one they believed they inhabited. Every story rooted in this archetype begins not with power, not with prophecy, and not with triumph, but with disruption. Destiny enters their life like a force of nature, shaking loose everything familiar and revealing a deeper, hidden structure beneath the ordinary world. This initial rupture is what exposes the protagonist's true purpose, one that had been sleeping beneath the surface of their existence, waiting for the exact moment to awaken. The call of destiny also triggers the inner conflict that defines the emotional heart of the Chosen One's transformation. It stirs up fear, self-doubt, and resistance, forcing them to confront weaknesses they could once afford to ignore. In doing so, it becomes the moment that tests their humanity before it ever tests their strength. The call challenges them not with battle or prophecy, but with choice. It presents them with a crossroads: cling to the safety of who they were, or step forward into the uncertainty of who they might become. This internal struggle is what gives the narrative its weight, its depth, and its enduring sense of relatability. As the Chosen One wrestles with the implications of their destiny, the call becomes the gravitational pull that propels them toward irreversible transformation. Once they accept it, even reluctantly, they step into a journey that reshapes their identity, broadens their understanding, and pushes them beyond every limitation they once believed defined them. The transformation that follows is not a sudden burst of heroism, but a long, difficult evolution rooted in self-discovery, courage, and the acceptance of purpose. This is why the motif is timeless. It captures the universal human experience of confronting change, embracing responsibility, and growing into the person we are meant to become. Across generations, cultures, and storytelling traditions, the Call of Destiny continues to inspire because it mirrors the pivotal moments in our own lives, the times when we are forced to make choices that redefine us. It is the symbolic beginning of becoming, and for the Chosen One, it is the moment when their legend truly starts. If you enjoyed this exploration of storytelling psychology and narrative symbolism, make sure to support the channel. Please like and share the video to help it reach more viewers, and don't forget to subscribe so you never miss upcoming content.